No, I'm usually getting ready for this show during that time. Of course, I started getting ready for this show about noon. I always end up having a lot of information, and I never get through any of it. That's the way it goes. Did you get that email? Yeah, 'cause I can't trust AOL.
Yes.
They stall a lot of my emails, and so I usually have to go over to Yahoo. And Yahoo can usually get through. I know I can't use the email clients, Outlook Express or anybody like that. They block my emails at the servers for all of my websites, so I can't use any of my domain website emails. I can receive mail, but I can't send them out. And, of course, nobody can tell me why, and I know exactly why. CIA owns the servers, and if they don't want you mailing anything out, you're not going to get anything mailed out. Okay, but until we can get a hold of Larry, Steve's going to try to call and get a hold of him, bring him in on his end. I don't know if the number I have for Larry is valid. It was a number I've had for a while, so I don't know if he still has that one or not, but we'll try it. We'll get him on here sooner or later. We'll get one of these emails. Well, I'm going to go ahead and talk about one of these emails that was being circulated about Bush and Cheney being indicted. And whenever you hear the term crime family, you know what's coming from the Stu Webb camp. Already suspect of any real validity. Because the credibility goes out the window right there with that name.
Sherry?
Yeah?
I got some female's voice on an answering machine. I left a message.
Okay, that's Larry's wife.
I left a message with my number.
Okay. Well, hopefully he'll get a... Hopefully that's his wife and not just somebody else that has the number. So, this information was on Tom Floco's site this week, tomfloco.com. Of course, himself putting his own credibility on the line, reprinting anything Stu Webb puts out. Talking about Patrick Fitzgerald, Chicago grand jury returning indictments on Bush, Cheney, Andrew Card, Cheney's chief of staff, Scooter Libby, Attorney General Albert Gonzalez, former Attorney General John Ashcroft, imprisoned New York Times reporter Judith Miller, former senior Cheney advisor Mary Madeline. And so it goes on talking about how they had been issued indictments, and what's really funny is when you get down into the information, it talks about British Prime Minister Tony Blair being indicted for obstruction of justice. How can an American court indict a foreign dignitary? I mean, I just thought that was funny. I don't think it's legal. Thomas Hennigan was the one behind this, was Stu Webb. And, you know, I'm trying to read through this information, but, you know, it's obvious. Everybody knows that President Bush, anybody that can think, anybody that can read, understands that Bush has taken our country to war based on lies, that he's committed treason against this country based on his lies. And so, you know, that alone, with as much proof as there is, that alone with much proof, is the government involvement with bringing down the World Trade Towers at 9/11. How much, you know, mountains of evidence do you need before you realize that, you know, they're guilty, the government's involved, and that eventually, if an indictment does come down, you know, he is kind of worried about it. I mean, if this is why he ran off to Riyadh, if he is indeed in Saudi Arabia, and again, I said it's unconfirmed now that he's hiding out in Riyadh at the American Embassy. I'm going to call it unconfirmed because I really don't trust 100% everything that comes off of that website at whatdoesitmean.com. If somebody else could confirm it, that would be, then I would go with it. But right now I'm pretty much skeptical. But yeah, he is running, and I saw in the Bible codes for the month of August, and everybody's waiting for some new kit and all these different catastrophes to happen, and I never saw it. What I did see was Bush being implicated, and he has been. I mean, all the stuff that came out has been implicated, and so that would be in the Bible code, that he's been implicated, that he's in trouble. So maybe that is why he's running. He is also rushing trying to fire Fitzgerald and replace him with a successor. But I was reading this thing today, and it's not Fitzgerald he's trying to fire. It is the Deputy Attorney General, James Comey, who was the one who appointed Fitzgerald, left his position, and the one that would take over his position and be over Fitzgerald is the one that Bush is trying to fill in with the former Skull and Bonesman. And so a lot of people, and so I think I was reading some misinfo earlier where it was talking about Fitzgerald himself being fired and replaced by a fellow Skull and Bonesman friend from the Bush camp. It's actually his boss, Deputy Attorney General himself, that would be replaced by a Bush-friendly Skull and Bonesman. And so, yeah, are we going to get real indictments with those kind of circumstances? Anytime you hear Skull and Bones, you have to understand that they're all in it together. They're all Satan freaks, especially when you hear Skull and Bones, anyone having to do with Skull and Bones. Interesting to note, George Bush's name, they all have nicknames in the Skull and Bones group. George Bush Jr.'s nickname being Temporary, and George Bush Sr.'s nickname being Magog. And so, interesting. I know Peggy Kane has filed reverse speeches on a number of on Bush himself, who doesn't plan on completing his second term, who plans on being out of here in 2007. So I know it's only 2005. So he's just going to be ousted from office right now. He wasn't planning it. I know he's planning on leaving in the early part of 2007. And so we got, that's 2 years difference there. So a lot of people not thinking George Bush would complete his second term one way or the other. So it's interesting. Again, I printed out all the stuff. You can go to apfn.org on their message board. Has a bunch of information on this whole Bush prosecution thing. You can also go to cloakanddagger.ca, which is Sherman Skolnick's website, or you can go to skolnicksreport.com, SKOLNICKS report.com. And, just angering a lot of people that he would reprint and confirm this whole story about their indictments. Other than this Floco, TomFloco.com and Sherman Skolnick, there hasn't been any other information anywhere else that these indictments are true. Of course, any kind of comment from the office in Chicago is that no indictments have been issued. And so other people going with the other side of the story, the other spin being that no indictments will be issued. And so you sit back and you start to watch the game unfold. They're really just sending out every view out there right now. They've been indicted. They're not going to be indicted against each other. Meanwhile, Bush is running off to Riyadh, supposedly, and all this other stuff's taking place in the background. So, they're throwing out a lot of stuff to keep people occupied, to hide what they're really doing. Whenever you get a lot of people buzzing about the same thing, then you got everybody looking at that and not what's really going on in the background. And so I'm one of these people that's always looking in the background, wondering what's really going on. When everybody else is looking left, I look right. And that's just the way it is. You always know something's coming up behind the corner. Haven't heard yet back from Steve. Don't know what's going on, if we've gotten a hold of Larry yet.
Nope, Sherry?
Yeah.
I called the one time, got the female's answering voice on the answer machine, left a message about what it was about and my number.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not real sure why he wouldn't be calling in if he's home.